You know, not many teams can win 8 games while averaging just 17.7 points per game on offense. But that's exactly what Iowa did last year, going 8-5 with a shutout bowl victory over Kentucky. And now the Hawkeyes may be even better than they were last year. The offense definitely should be. And Iowa, once again, is a Big Ten West title contender. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today as we break down the Iowa Hawkeyes and projecting their schedule and record. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. If you want guaranteed winning picks, a guaranteed winning record, guaranteed money in your pocket, this is the place for you, as we have beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. You do not want to miss out on that opportunity, guys. And again, it's a full year-long subscription, full 365 days. Take advantage of it while you can. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Do not want to miss out on that, becoming a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame. And send us some gear. Send us some gear. We only have a little bit of Big Ten gear out here right now. We'd love to get some Iowa gear represented in our background as we expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. So whether you're an Iowa fan or whoever you support, send us some gear representing your team so we can have them put up in every single video. So let's take a look at Iowa, guys. Always a Big Ten title contender, no doubt about it. And last year they were one. Last year they were in the hunt to make the Big Ten championship game. Had they not lost to Nebraska, they probably would have been there. But this team, guys, offensively was abysmal. It was hard to watch. And obviously that's the major storyline heading into 2023 is, can Iowa, contend for another Big Ten title, but more importantly, can they fix the offense? I'm going to say yes for a lot of different reasons. A team that was 123rd in the country in scoring last year with just 17.7 points per game, 252 total yards per game, now brings in a veteran quarterback in Cade McNamara from Michigan, a guy who led the Wolverines to the playoffs in 2021. He's phenomenal. Over 3,100 yards and 21 touchdowns during his time with the Wolverines. Major upgrade at quarterback over Spencer Petras. No doubt about it. He's a guy that could come in here, easily just be a game manager, complete over 60% of his passes, and the Iowa offense could improve drastically. And if Brian Ferentz wants to keep his job, they've got to improve drastically. Ferentz has this average at least 25 points per game. Again, Brian Ferentz, the son of head coach Kirk Ferentz, has to average at least 25 points per game on offense as offensive coordinator for him to keep his job with the Hawkeyes. So, very tall task. Got to improve by over a touchdown in 2023. But Cade McNamara comes in to try to help that. Caleb Johnson is back at running back after rushing for nearly 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. They do lose their star tight end in Sam Laporta, leading receiver, leading pass catcher from last year, but they do add in tight end Eric All from Michigan. That's a huge, huge get for the Hawkeyes. And the offensive line going to be strong this year. Last year, not so great, allowed 38 sacks. This year, the offensive line combines for 114 career starts. Going to take a major step forward and be the offensive line that we're used to seeing from Iowa. Defensively, that's the strength of the team. Defense is why Iowa won 8 games last year. It was not the offense. This team gave up just 13.3 points per game. They were number 1 in the country, allowing just 3.99 yards per play. They allowed just 271 yards per game, just 101 on the ground, 169 through the air. They're unbelievable and will be again. What they did was they scored defensive touchdowns. They forced their teams back, which gave their offense favorable field position, and they forced a lot of turnovers. I mean, they just did a phenomenal job. And they're going to do that again, taking a little bit of pressure off that offense, or at least putting them in some favorable situations. They do lose Jack Campbell. They do lose Seth Benson. Big losses there. But they do return 6 of their top 10 tacklers overall. The defensive line is going to be a strength this year. Joe Evans up front, having 6.5 sacks last year. Secondary going to be phenomenal per usual. Iowa's got the pieces, guys. The offense should take a major step forward. Defense is going to be strong as always. Sky's the limit for the Hawkeyes. Take a look at the schedule. What can Kirk Ferentz do? Well, it's pretty favorable, all things considered. I mean, drawing Penn State out of the East is tough, but if you look, there's no Ohio State, there's no Michigan. So obviously a pretty favorable slate for the Hawkeyes already with their cross division, Penn State, Michigan State, and Rutgers. Not too bad. We think they start the year off at 3-0. They'll beat Utah State. They'll beat Western Michigan. Iowa State's the only questionable game there. Yes, they lost to the Cyclones last year, the Cy-Hawk game, losing 10-7 at Kinnick Stadium, ending the Hawkeyes' 6-game winning streak over their in-state rival. Also a monumental moment here, the 70th meeting between Iowa and Iowa State. Should be a fun one. Iowa State, not a bad team. Not a bad team by any means. 9 starters back on offense, 6 starters back on defense, one that allowed just 20.3 points per game. But revenge on the mind of the Hawkeyes is the big thing. They can overcome any road environment. I genuinely believe that. I believe they would have won the game last year had their offense been worth anything. The defense is going to be phenomenal. I think they're going to be able to go in there, shut down Hunter Deckers, if he plays, of course, shut down Hunter Deckers and Iowa State. The offense should be able to exploit the Iowa State defense just a little bit. We've got a close game in Ames, no doubt about it. But I like the Hawkeyes defensively more than anything, more so than the Cyclones. They get a win over their rival, and like we said, they are 3-0 heading into conference play. We do believe they'll drop their first conference game of the year at Penn State. I don't even have to touch on this one much, right? The Penn State is a phenomenal team. Drew Aller in at quarterback, 2 of the best running backs in the country and in the Big Ten, and Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. Phenomenal defense, 8 starters back on that side of the ball with arguably the best secondary in the Big Ten this year. And it's the whiteout game. That's the do-it-all factor, right? Penn State in the whiteout game, it's going to be very, very hard for Iowa to win here, especially if the offense isn't just knocking it out of the park. If the offense is struggling a little bit or is just slowly getting there, going on the road in the whiteout game against this defense, it ain't happening. It just isn't happening. So they're going to drop the game to Penn State. It's very hard to win in Happy Valley anytime, but certainly on whiteout game. They'll beat Michigan State and they'll beat Purdue. Breeze past that pretty quickly. Michigan State's going to struggle quite a bit this year. Iowa is 6-2 in games against the Big Ten East opponents since 2020. Their only losses coming to Michigan and Ohio State, both last year. So they should cruise past Michigan State, a team that is dealing with quarterback questions with the loss of Peyton Thorne. The offense is going to struggle a little bit with their top 2 pass catchers. The defense has some questions, especially with the run game. This could be a game where the offensive line opens up a lot of holes for Caleb Johnson. So they cruise past the Spartans, cruise past Purdue, who they beat 24-3 last year in West Lafayette, the Big Ten West champions last year, now without their head coach in Jeff Brom, now without Aiden O'Connell, and a lot of other players that either left or transferred out of the program. Purdue going to struggle a little bit in year 1 under Ryan Walters, so that should be 2 relatively easy wins, in theory, for Iowa, both at home. They are 5-1 heading into the big game against Wisconsin. This is the game that could determine the Big Ten West. It's Wisconsin and Iowa as the top 2 contenders in the West. Sure, Illinois is in the mix. Minnesota's in the mix. Nebraska could be viewed as a dark horse contender this year, first year under Matt Rule. But really, it's Wisconsin and Iowa. The winner is in the driver's seat to win the division. And I like Wisconsin a lot in this game. I like Wisconsin a lot this year, period. The Badgers are legit. Yes, I know Iowa won 24-10 last year, beat the Badgers by 14. But it should be noted they have lost 5 of the last 7 games to the Badgers. They have not won in Madison since 2015. And Wisconsin's offense, at this point, may be the best offense that Iowa faces all season long. Think about that. Tanner Mordecai transfers in from SMU. The Badgers are actually going to have a competent quarterback throwing the ball, and they're going to throw it a lot more often than you think. Braylon Allen is phenomenal at running back, one of the best running backs in the country. The offensive line is loaded. The defense returns 8 starters. This Wisconsin team is going to be something that we haven't seen in a long time. They've got one heck of a coach in Luke Fickell. Factor in home field advantage, the magnitude of this game. I like Wisconsin a lot. They can match Iowa defensively. They've got the significant offensive edge. They've got home field advantage. Give me the Badgers to get the win over the Hawkeyes, and that could take Iowa out of Big Ten title contention. Not entirely, but 2 conference losses already. They're going to have to hope Wisconsin slips up a few more times down the road. They come back home to take on Minnesota, and this is one of those games where I can't pick Minnesota to win until they do. The Hawkeyes have dominated the Golden Gophers for years. They've won 8 straight games over Minnesota, including a 13-10 victory last year. And it's one of those things where I was like, geez, Minnesota can't win last year. They couldn't take advantage of it last year in Minneapolis. When will they ever, right? Now the game's back in Kinnick Stadium, one of the most difficult places to play in the entire country. Both teams have a phenomenal defense. Offensively, relatively even as well. A lot of question marks there. Both breaking in new quarterbacks. Caden McNamara at Iowa, Ethan Kaliak-Manis at Minnesota, but with home field advantage and a team that I really think has improved drastically, Iowa bounces back against Minnesota, knowing that they also have to bounce back against the Golden Gophers if they want to even keep their slim chance of winning the Big Ten West alive. So they win that game. They're going bowling. There wasn't really a doubt there. They're going bowling. They're 6-2 heading into their bye week, and the month of November is phenomenal for them. That's the thing, right? If they can find a way to split the games against Penn State and Wisconsin, watch out. Because you come into the month of November, and I think Iowa wins 3 straight games. They should cruise past Northwestern, beat them by 20 points last year, and the Wildcats obviously dealing with a lot of questions. Amid the hazing allegations and the hazing scandal, Pat Fitzgerald no longer with Northwestern. Should be an easy win for the Hawkeyes at Wrigley Field. So they get past Northwestern. They should beat Rutgers relatively easily. Again, at home, beat them 27-10 last year. And then Illinois at home. Again, so 3 straight home games. Northwestern, not really a home game, but still not a road game. 3 straight games, not on the road. They beat Illinois. They lost them 9-6 last year. Talk about a defensive battle. They did allow 200 rushing yards in the game, but Illinois is going to take not a major step back. They're still definitely a bowl team. We mentioned a possible Big Ten West title contender, but Illinois questions at quarterback. How well will Luke Altmaier fix into this? They allowed 200 rushing yards last year, yes, but Chase Brown, a guy who was pretty much responsible for that, is now gone. Illinois loses a lot of key pieces defensively. I really do wonder how that's all going to come together. You factor in home field advantage for Iowa on senior day, a little bit of revenge on their mind, maybe an opportunity to say, hey, we can score more than 6. Illinois, the question is, can you? I think Iowa gets the win over the Fighting Illini. They've got their 9th win. They've got 9 wins, 9-2 heading into the season finale. Still in the Big Ten West conversation here. Depending on what Wisconsin's done, maybe Iowa needs a win over Nebraska to clinch, kind of like they did last year. Maybe they, are out of it, but obviously want to get revenge over the Cornhuskers, just a chance to clinch a 10-win season. Either way, Hawkeyes have put together a phenomenal season. They have a chance to capitalize and really cap it off with a, pretty promising finish if they can beat Nebraska. Problem is they're not. They're not beating Nebraska, I'm afraid. Matt Rule, guys, he's the real deal. He's a program builder. We've seen him do it at Temple. We've seen him doing it at Baylor. And I think he's going to do it pretty quickly at Nebraska because he does not inherit a bad team by any means. Brings in a lot of talent. The last 5 games between Nebraska and Iowa have all been decided by 1 possession, including Iowa's 24-17 loss last year. Dug themselves a huge hole, 24-0, battled all the way back, but couldn't get over the hump, fell to the Cornhuskers by 7 points. And you look at Nebraska this year, guys, senior day for them in Lincoln, a significantly better offense, a more, dare I say, competent coach, a defense that was pretty solid against the pass, needs to work on its rushing defense, but I think they will be able to do that. Defensive line going to be pretty strong for Nebraska this year. Should be able to match Iowa in the trenches and bottle up that run game. Again, home field advantage is going to play a huge role here, and Matt Rule and his squad would love nothing more than to get a win, again, over their rival, especially if bowl eligibility is on the line. I think Nebraska could clinch a bowl game before this game, but if they're at 5 wins, they're going to have a lot more to play for right now than Iowa, especially if the Hawkeyes are out of Big Ten title conversation. I do think Nebraska gets the win at home. My logic here again, Nebraska, if they can win this game last year with a significantly worse team than they're going to have this year, and they can do it at Kinnick last year, they can win at home with a significantly better team than they had last year. No doubt about it. So Nebraska steals the win over Iowa again, and the Hawkeyes finish the year at 9-3. Again, that's 3 conference losses, probably not going to be good enough to make the Big Ten championship game. We would imagine, depending on what Wisconsin does, that they do get in there. Maybe they go 10-2, maybe they go 9-3. Who knows what the Badgers can do, but right now they would be the favorite. But either way, guys, what a year for Iowa. The offense takes a major step forward. I do think the Hawkeyes hit that 25-point mark. The offense is going to be not phenomenal, but by Iowa standards, it's going to be phenomenal. Caden McNamara is going to make a world of difference. Just wait to see. The Hawkeyes improve on last year's win total, going from 7 wins in the regular season last year to 9 this year. They go to a fantastic bowl game, a shot at a 10-win season. And all I can say is, they might not go on to win the Big Ten West. They might not be playing for a Big Ten title, but Kirk Ferentz has done it again. He has put together a phenomenal squad. They're going to go out there and play their style of football, and it's going to work. They did it last year. They're going to do it this year. And per usual, Iowa is going to be a tough out for every single team that they play. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round, and of course, send us some gear to our mailing address. We'd love to get some Iowa gear represented in our background as we expand our Big Ten collection and just expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.